Hey guys, this is Ray and Tracker with US385, and today I'd like to provide you with a review on the Ring Video Doorbell Pro, which is the hardwired kit. And I've got to say, I really am more impressed with this than I thought it would be. So I wanted to I'm sure there's plenty of reviews on the unboxing, what it looks like, what your experience is in terms of whether it connects to your Wi-Fi setup or not. Here we have industrial grade Wi-Fi set up throughout the home. And for that reason, I don't worry about Wi-Fi anymore. And I'll talk about that in another segment. But assuming your Wi-Fi signal is strong, or at least in the proximity to where your doorbell will be, you should be very satisfied with this product. If that's what you're using this for, is to replace a doorbell and gain the additional functionality that the Ring provides you, which is the ability to actually view the traffic that occurs at your front door right from your phone, even in real time. Now, the three things that I really like about this are that it has the live view function and two-way communication. What this means to us is that if someone were to ring the bell right now and I got a notification on my phone, I'd be able to not only view it, but also communicate with whoever it is that was at the front door. Why would this come in handy? Well, let's say you're in the backyard, right? You're doing some gardening or something like that, and someone rings the door and you have to sign for a package. Well, everyone knows that our delivery people are in a tremendous rush, especially if you're not home and they can't gauge whether or not you're there, so they assume that you're not there and they run away until they basically hear from you, which in this particular case could be with an astounding speed. So imagine you're in that backyard doing some gardening and someone rings your bell, and then you basically look at your phone. You can communicate with whoever's at the front. I'll be right there. Give me just a moment. You can go and wash your hands or whatever, rinse them off real quick so that you can greet the door without, dirtying your handles up and all that. So that's just one example. Again, I really don't know. I'm just making up situations here. But it also allows you the ability to review what's happened. And depending on your triggers, you can set it up to either notify you after the fact or not at all, or right then and there. But you can also review everything that happens. So if someone claims that your package was delivered, you should be able to see someone coming up to your door and delivering. And then shortly thereafter, or any time thereafter, you should be able to see whether or not someone else other than yourself came and collected that item. Now, on the very first day we installed this, it was interesting because we had a package left at our door, and then we looked at the next clip that said there was motion activity, and there was someone who actually came up to the door and looked at that package that was dropped off. But not only could you see them mouth the words, "Nope, that's not mine," but they also said it so you could hear what they were saying as they were walking off. Now, if there was an actual crime that had been committed, you can understand how important this may or may not be in your list of requirements for a surveillance system that you want to install in your own home. For me, it sounded really cool, so I went ahead and bit the $250 bullet basically and had this shipped, and within a couple of days I got it and installed it. And so far the system has been problem-free. The second thing that I really like about this system is that it has the ability to disable the internal doorbell from the app. Why is that important? Well, in our particular case, this past Friday, Tracker got he had some kind of an injury. He injured his patella, and he was having a lot of difficulty with his back leg. And he hurt his leg enough to where he had a lot of trouble repositioning himself and getting comfortable, like you just got to see him do in the background here. And one of the things that he also still attempted to do, even though he was in pain, is if he heard the doorbell, he would take off running towards the door. So with the ability to disable the internal doorbell, what we did is if someone rings the door here, we don't hear it in the house because the chime is disabled right now. And the cool thing about it is we still can receive the notifications on our phones so that we know someone's ringing the bell. Now we can just more discreetly get up or make sure that Tracker is in a position where he won't just, bolt off running and re-agitate his aggravated patella. So that feature seemed really cool to me. May not be cool to you. I thought it was really interesting. The third feature that I really like is that it came with all the much needed hardware. Now, if you're installing these items, you've probably got especially if you went ahead and decided to install it yourself, you probably have all the tools you needed to install this device yourself. You just need a screwdriver and a little tiny torque wrench of some sort. But Ring goes a step further, and they provide you with all that information in the box, or at least in the Video Doorbell Pro. Not sure if that's across the entire line, but it was for this one. Which again, if you already have a doorbell, you probably want to consider this, because it basically takes advantage of all the existing wiring, and that's all you have to do is add these two pieces, and there's nothing else you have to install. Anyway, it came with the hardware to install the whole thing. So that includes angled brackets that you can point the Ring up or down a little bit, or another angled bracket, which I can't show you because it's already installed, which turns the Ring from left to right, or right to left, or it angles it to the right or to the left, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Now, those things, to me, are really cool because they also sell, when you're buying your Ring, they sell wall kits that allow you to angle the Ring a little bit further in case it's not capturing enough of the span of your walkway with its default brackets. Now, in my case, the default bracket fit perfectly, and it actually made it cover the exact precise amount that I needed to cover, which is brilliant, because I didn't have to use this bigger, more unusual looking wall plate. I was able to use the existing space, and it looks very factory. It looks like the only reason you know that it's a Ring doorbell is because of the blue halo that goes around the doorbell itself. But at the same time, many doorbells are illuminated, so I don't know, you may not be able to tell it's a Ring until you get up to it. Then you can see that there's a camera, and it looks very, it's very discreet. So I really like that. But again, came with much of the needed hardware. To me, that's a pro, because we've all been there where we go to install something, and then suddenly it's like, oh man, I don't have that one tool. Now I have to go to the hardware store, find that tool, bring it back, and then start doing the install process. Nobody likes that. Well, Ring makes it so you can avoid all of that altogether. That's amazing. So the things I don't like, there really were just a couple of things I didn't like about this product. Not about the product, actually. The product itself, I think, is amazing. But the functionality of some of the things are such that I would redesign it just slightly. So one of the things I didn't like is, remember how I was saying you could disable the internal doorbell? That's a really cool idea, but you can only do it from the primary account holder's app. When you register it with someone else's email address or anything like that, that person cannot perform some of the same functions, one of which is to disable the internal doorbell. Now, why is that a big deal that you would want someone else to do it? For me, obviously the safety margin is you don't want to just give someone access to this thing and let them be able to disable your doorbell so they could just sneak in unknowingly and do whatever it was they were going to do that they needed to disable the doorbell for. But to me, if it's a shared household, especially if the house is registered in two people's names, perhaps you want to have two people have that same exact ability to do these kind of things. This is just something to think about as you're setting up your app. Many of you have shared email addresses, and you can think about that in advance as you set up these devices, and you can circumvent that deficiency. If it's a deficiency at all. To me, again, that was just one quirk that I didn't particularly like, because in our household we thought that it would be cool that both household operators have that same capability. The second thing I don't like is that it does include so many resources that could be used elsewhere. That screwdriver and the little tiny Allen wrench that came with the kit, that's amazing. And I really do appreciate that. I really do. But many of the people who install these kind of things to begin with have their own tools, or who order these things maybe pay for the install service. I'm just guessing, I don't know. Or they don't need the tool, and although the tool that comes with it is quite, to me, it's a very quality tool. It's really neat. It's a two-head. You can flip over the screwdriver side and then switch it to the torque wrench side. And that's really cool. But if you already have something like that, then you're like myself, you realize now I've got something else to put somewhere, and I already didn't want to put extra things like 3 extra aluminum faceplates or whatever plastic these are made out of, polycarbonate, I don't know, 3 extra faceplates that are well manufactured and absolutely usable to somebody who has a need for one of these other colors that I didn't have a need for. So what I would really like in future iterations of beautifully packaged devices that are like this, and this is just a suggestion, what I would really like to see would be that this come with maybe a pre-mailed, maybe even when you unpackage it, it's already got a barcode so that you can mail this right back to the manufacturer. But if it was a prepaid mailer that we could send all this back to the manufacturer for, then maybe they could repackage all 3 of these unused faceplates into a new kit that just needed the whatever color faceplate I got. And at that point, I could also choose to return that little screwdriver if I didn't have one already. And maybe all those things could go to use for someone else who either needed or didn't need those pieces. But for me, it leaves me with a dilemma. What do I do with this? So I'm going to send this all back to Ring with the same suggestion, hoping that maybe they incorporate some of these ideas. I'd like your feedback as far as what you thought about the Ring system. So drop me a line, share your feedback with regard to the insight that I've provided, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.